Welcome back. So today's career video, and I double checked to make sure I haven't done this career video before, and yet I did with the Middleton one, and then it turned out I had, but that's okay because it's years later and it's fine. So we're going to talk about Adam Graves. Adam Graves, a player who was considered a disappointment early on in his career, shall we say a bust at certain points during his early career, and then magically he's not. So we're going to talk about Adam Graves, who was picked number 22 overall by the Detroit Red Wings in 1986. The Red Wings brought him up 87-88. He played 9 games that season, just the 1 assist. And so he was seen as a slow developing player, especially 88-89. Plays 56 games, 7 goals, 5 assists, 12 points. And I remember being a young hockey fan that year and seeing games here and there and not really seeing the hype because they would always talk about Graves and being drafted 22nd overall, which was second round at that time because 21 teams in the league, but still pretty high draft pick, right? So he played 5 playoff games, no points for him in the playoffs. So through his first 2 years in Detroit, it's 1 season of 56 games and 1 season of 9 games, not a lot to write home about. Then 89-90, he plays 13 games with Detroit, just 1 assist to start the season. And then he's included in what turns out to be a massive trade, one which Edmonton fans weren't happy about at the time. So he was traded to Edmonton with Peter Klima, who had had legal problems that caused him to end up on the trade block. Joe Murphy, who was seen as a number 1 draft pick that just wasn't developing for Detroit the way they wanted him to. Similar situation to Graves. And Jeff Sharples, who was coming off of a major shoulder injury and surgery too, I believe, as part of that. So damaged goods coming to Edmonton, no matter how you look at it, right? Going back to Detroit, a 1991 5th-round pick, Kevin McClelland, and Jimmy Carson. The Detroit Red Wings really wanted Carson. Carson wanted out of Edmonton, and he really wanted to play in Detroit. So after the trade, Adam Graves plays 63 games with Edmonton, 9 goals, 12 assists, 21 points. And again, not like fantastic numbers, not what people were expecting from him. But he ends up on the kid line in the playoffs. 22 games played in the playoffs in 1990. 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points. And that's a Stanley Cup for the Edmonton Oilers. That's a Stanley Cup for Adam Graves. And so, Graves said that he felt really good in that locker room. He thought they had a really good bunch. And it showed again in 90-91. 76 games played, 8 goals, 17 assists, 25 points. So again, the offense for Graves is not where it's going to be. And in the playoffs, he played 18 games with the Oilers in the playoffs that year, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. The Rangers want Graves. Now, the Rangers are understanding that Graves hasn't lived up to advanced billing. And so they want to pry him out of Edmonton. Now, Edmonton at the time, we're hearing a lot about money. We've seen a lot of that dynasty get torn apart because the Oilers just won't pay guys to stick around. And so once you lose a couple of key marquee guys because they want more money, you end up in a situation where it's quite difficult to hold on to other players when they want theirs as well. So September 3rd, he actually signs an offer sheet with the New York Rangers. Offer sheets worked different back then. Offer sheets, it wasn't, okay, the offer sheet's for this amount, so that means you get this draft pick and that draft pick. No. There was an arbitrator that would come in and rule what was going and where. So for the Edmonton Oilers, they were interested in Stephen Rice. They were also interested in Louis DeBrusk. And New York Rangers weren't interested in that compensation. They would trade those players to Edmonton at a later date. But they offered up Troy Millette. Now, that was unpopular with Ranger fans because Millette was putting the puck in the back of the net and he was fighting. So the idea of giving up Millette for Graves, who, again, to this point in his career hadn't lived up to advanced billing, Ranger fans were kind of cool on that idea. But Millette ends up being what is awarded. The arbitrator agrees with the Rangers' offer and says, yep, this is fair. And for what Graves had done to this point in his career, it is fair, but when we look back at it now, it kind of looks like a lopsided trade. That first year with the Rangers, it just clicks. In 91-92, he plays 80 games, 26 goals, 33 assists, 59 points. 59 points, over double what he'd had the year before in Edmonton. In the playoffs, 10 games, 5 goals, 3 assists, 8 points. So the Rangers are pretty happy with this. Now, the Rangers are going to add more former Oilers to their roster, right? 92-93, 84 games played, 36 goals, 29 assists, 65 points. The remarkable thing with Adam Graves is during this period, the goal scoring just works. And it is something that had frustrated Detroit and it had frustrated Edmonton. But that's the thing. Sometimes it takes goal scorers a little bit longer. Not everybody develops at the same rate. And for Graves, by 93, he's looking like a very good goal scorer. And in 93, 94, everything clicks. And everything clicks for the Rangers as well. So he plays all 84 games that season. 52 goals, which was 5th in the NHL. 27 assists, 79 points overall. So career high in goals, career high in points. And then in the playoffs, he becomes part of a legend. 23 games, 10 goals, 7 assists, 17 points. So that's a Stanley Cup for the New York Rangers, their first since 1940. His second Stanley Cup, the first in Edmonton, second with the Rangers. He's a second-team All-Star that year as well. He wins the King Clancy Award, and that is the year that he makes the All-Star game too. So really, on and off the ice, he had quite the season. And yeah, that was fantastic. But it set the bar really high. 94-95. Lockout shortened season, 47 games. 17 goals, 14 assists, 31 points. So still, the totals are much higher than they were anywhere he played before he was with the Rangers. But it's an off year for him. In the playoffs, 10 games played, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points. So no back-to-back cups for the Rangers. And pretty quickly after that 94 cup, things just seemed to be tumultuous with the Rangers. 95-96, 82 games, 22 goals, 36 assists, and 58 points. So he sets a career high in assists. It's like his game has changed that year, right? So in the playoffs, it changes back. 10 games, 7 goals, 1 assist for 8 points. So the goal scoring's still there. And, honestly, Graves isn't the problem. The Rangers, though, are starting to fall back. The Rangers would then throw a bunch of money at players trying to get back to cup contention, and it always backfired on them. So 96-97, 82 games, 33 goals, 28 assists, 61 points. Consistent point totals from year to year, 58-61. In the playoffs, 15 games. Less production in the playoffs, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points. So the Rangers getting out of the first round pretty regularly at this point, and of course that's after their Stanley Cup. But 97-98, things are really unraveling here. So 72 games for Graves, 23 goals, 12 assists, 35 points. The points now are down. The goals, still a 20-goal scorer. And since we're getting into what's called the dead puck era, where not as many goals are being scored, that 23 goals is still impressive. He would impress some more in 98-99. 82 games, 38 goals, which was the highest total he had had since his 52-goal season in 93-94. Just 15 assists, 53 points. So we talk about Cy Young Awards, and it's the baseball analogy for the best pitcher of the year, and 38 goals would be your wins, 15 assists would be your losses, so 38 and 15, that's where the Cy Young thing comes from. I didn't invent the term, it was invented ages before, I just pick it up, because I think it's an interesting one, right? So he scored a lot of goals, not a lot of assists, but again, they weren't paying him to score assists. 99-2000, 77 games, 23 goals, 17 assists, 40 points. So he's settled in, right? He's got another 20-goal season. Pretty reliable with 20-goal seasons while he was with the Rangers. But then his final year with the Rangers, the goal total drops off. 82 games, 10 goals, 16 assists, 26 points. He won the Bill Masterton Trophy for dedication to the sport of hockey that year. And then they traded him. In June 24th of 2001, he's traded with future considerations, who gets traded a lot, in exchange for Christian Gosselin, I have no idea, and Michael Samuelsson going the other way. So just an odd deal overall, but this is, San Jose looking to pick up a guy who's got a couple of cup rings and maybe get themselves over the top. He does experience a bit of a bounce back that first year in San Jose. 2001-2002, 81 games, 17 goals, 14 assists, 31 points in the playoffs. 12 games played, 3 goals, 1 assist, 4 points. And those would be his final playoff games in his NHL career. But Adam Graves, he did have one more year following that, 02-03, 82 games, 9 goals, 9 assists, 18 points. So in his career, 1,152 games, 329 goals, 287 assists, 616 points. Not bad for a player that both Detroit and Edmonton decided, it's fine. And he went to the Rangers and it worked out. In the playoffs, 125 games played, 38 goals, 27 assists for 65 points. He did have 52 career fights. He was one of these players who played on the edge. if Graves was playing now, there absolutely would be a reputation around Graves like some of the other more controversial players in the National Hockey League right now. One controversial play occurred during the 1992 playoffs. In Game 2 against the Pittsburgh Penguins, he fractured Mario Lemieux's wrist with a two-handed slash over the wrist. He got a 2-minute penalty, and there was no suspension for the play. So, vicious two-handed slash is a 2-minute penalty, and nothing further. So that really illustrates the difference between the game 30 years ago and now. If that happened now as a vicious two-hander, and they go, yeah, no, it's 2 minutes, and there was no suspension, no fine, people would go crazy. So anyways, yeah, he was a guy who definitely played with a lot of emotion, played on the edge. According to Mario Lemieux after, he felt like there was a hit that had been put out on him by the coach of the Rangers at the time. But, you know, it's all water under the bridge now, right? He is one of 7 players who won the Stanley Cup in the 1994 season with the New York Rangers, who was actually a former Oiler. So that's part of the reason why when that team won the Cup in 1994, they were called the Oilers East by some. So, yeah, really remarkable. And, I mean, it makes some sense. These guys had chemistry before in Edmonton. Makes sense to put them together. February 3rd of 2009, his number 9 was retired by the New York Rangers. And when they had a book on the 100 greatest Rangers, he was listed at number 13. Really carved out quite the career for himself. So, there you go. Adam Graves. Today's career video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.